So we got a brand new WBO super featherweight champion of the world. That is Shakur Stevenson as he stops Jamel Herring in what I think many of us are calling Shakur Stevenson's best performance to date. A thoroughly dominant performance. Outside, I think maybe one round, Shakur completely controlled this fight. And I think after rounds 2 and 3, you kind of saw where this fight was going. Jamel Herring, I just don't think ever stepped on the gas per se and try to walk Shakur down. And look, it was a difficult task considering what Shakur was already doing. I mean, he was measuring distance really, really well. He was already going to the body. The jab was there. The combination punching was there. The defense was there. Everything seemed to be just clicking for Shakur Stevenson, man. And listen, Jamel Herring, okay, like he's coming off his biggest win over Carl Frampton. And listen, I know people will say what they will about Carl Frampton and things as such, but at the end of the day, you know, you have to look at the performances, okay? And you have to look at the fact that Jamel Herring, you can argue, man, was looking at his best up to this point. But I think what it really speaks of more than anything is the fact that Shakur Stevenson, man, is without question one of the best fighters, young fighters, I should say, that I feel is going to be one of the bunch that we are going to continue to talk about as the years go by, man. There's two fighters, myself and the crew, but I'll just say myself, there's two fighters that I have kept my eye on. I want to say for the better part of 2 to 3 years. And that is Chris Colbert and Shakur Stevenson. I just think these two fighters, there's something special about them, okay? And I very seldom use that with fighters, okay? But I'm somebody that I like to observe talent. And I saw things with Shakur Stevenson that I'm like, if he just gets better in this department, he's going to be very dangerous. Chris Colbert, same thing. If he progresses in this area, he's going to be dangerous. And when I'm seeing, I'll just say for Shakur right now, being that he fought last night, just the way he's learning how to control distance, his patience, his work to the body, I think you're hearing a lot of people talk about his man strength. I mean, yeah, I think he's growing physically as a fighter, and I feel his technique is there. And I think sometimes what happens is things start to kind of marry themselves, you know, like whether it's your body, the boxing IQ, the technique that you've worked on for years. Again, you hear the term building your man strength. I think everything for Shakur Stevenson right now is starting to click at the right time. And I think the performance he had against Jamel Herring, you're going to hear people say, oh, Jamel Herring was older, he's 35, But I'm like, you can't say one thing before the fight and then say something after, okay? And I think you got to give full credit to Shakur based on what he was able to do in that ring. And that's so much of what Jamel wasn't able to do. It was based on the things that Shakur was doing. So that being said, Shakur Stevenson, I will tell you, man, is the best 130-pounder right now. If he faces Oscar Valdez, guys, it is not going to end well for Oscar Valdez. To me, he's a level above. And Oscar Valdez, truth be told, in that Burchell fight, Burchell was coming back and was hurting Oscar Valdez until he caught him. You know, that's not to like put Valdez down, but I'm seeing more of an ascension with Shakur Stevenson, where with Oscar Valdez, I just don't see how he's going to be able to compete with what Shakur is at this moment, okay? Oscar Valdez saying he wants to fight. He wants to, you know, will it be full? No, it won't be full unification. it'll be like 3/4 or something along those lines. I can't imagine Shakur not being a pretty good favorite in that fight. I'm sorry. Like, I just think that would be a bad night for Oscar Valdez. But as it concerns Shakur Stevenson's future, man, listen, man, we're talking about all these dudes at lightweight and all these guys that don't want to fight. Let me tell you something. Shakur Stevenson, before you know it, is going to start climbing up to lightweight. And when you start mentioning all these other guys, whether you're, Teofimo and these, like I think he's going to move up. But there's Tank that's going to float around 135, 140. Devin Haney, 135, 140. Lomachenko. You know what I'm saying? I think Shakur is getting into a situation right now where his best fights potentially could be in the next year or two. This by far is his best performance against a high quality opponent who brought a title to the, and I think this title win is going to be remembered much more than his win at featherweight. But again, 2-division world champion at this point. I think this is probably the win that he will look at first and say, man, this was like my first solid win. And it is, man. It absolutely is. Absolutely is. So Shakur Stevenson gets the stoppage win over Jamel Herring. We'll see what happens next. I don't think that Valdez fight happens right away. If at anything, it's probably the fight after next. But we'll see, man. I think Shakur, after if and whenever he fights Valdez, I think at that point he's probably going to move to lightweight. That's just where the money's at right now. That's where the big fights are at. So we think. They still got to materialize. But that's pretty much it, man. Let me know what you think of Shakur Stevenson's performance. Who would you like to see him face next? And what's next for Jamel Herring, man? Listen, he's 35 years old. When people lose, I'm not suggesting people retire or anything like that. But I had mentioned in the previous video, he was a late bloomer. And at 35 years old, do you keep fighting and try to get a crack at the title again? I don't know what they'll never rematch, but maybe Jamel goes and fights I forgot who the other champion is besides Valdez. I'm drawing a blank here. It's whoever the IBF champion is, right? Am I off in that? But in any case, so we'll see what happens. But I think for Shakur Stevenson right now, sky's the limit. But in any case, follow us at Guards Boxing on Instagram. Follow me at Roberto_Flack. Facebook.com/GYGBoxing. Enjoy your Sunday. I am out.